we are very happy to host the county commissioner candidates for position 1 and 2. So right now I'm going to introduce our guests. For position 1, we have incumbent Commissioner Randy Netherland. We don't have Ted Jackson. We have William Will Harris. And for District 2, we have Patrick Tarswell. Pat. We have Richard Beckman. And we have Tom Beeben. So, before we start, I'd just like you to silence your phones. You don't want any calls when we're talking about important things in electronics. And please be respectful of our guests. Some of them have traveled a long way. And, you know, during these times, they're pretty busy going from place to place. So we want to make the most of our time with them. And we want to keep your side conversations to a minimum until we open it up for the public questions. Hey, Andy. I see so many people here. I like all of you, but mainly Andy. And especially for those who are hearing impaired, we want to make sure that they can hear everything that's being said, so they don't yell at us. Okay. So for the candidates, we're going to have each of them introduce themselves, and we're going to limit it to 3 minutes or less. Starting with you. Oh, I should say, Susan, hold up the yellow to them.
Yeah, when you've got 15 seconds left, you bid up.
Okay.
You get yellow, and then if you don't pay attention to Susan, then you get red.
I like that yellow color.
Card, red card, you know,
How
soccer.
often are we gonna
Okay.
get carded?
Okay, now you can start.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Randy Netherland. I am the county commissioner, one of the longest serving ones we've ever actually had. I am an independent. That means I'm an equal opportunity offender. I tell both sides where to go, and then I work with both sides when it's not political season. When it's political season, they all go to their corners sometimes, and it's really hard. But when it's not political season, then we get to work with everybody and anybody. I literally came here when I was 15 years old. My father lived here. I didn't know him. I got to know him after I got here. I lived on his property first. I lived in a little trailer for a while, no power, no water. This place took me in, raised me. I spent my Christmas, Thanksgivings at all their homes. I'm a very blessed man to have been accepted here, and I've been spending my whole life doing it ever since. Now, me and my father became the best of friends, especially at the end. He was a great man, and I'm very blessed to have come here and to have known him. If you've ever wished that you had a commissioner or any elected official that would not raise your taxes, if you ever had a hope that you would have a commissioner that would always be accessible, if you had a hope that you would have a commissioner that didn't look down on you, but instead always made himself available for you to be with you, and the hope that he would make protection of the citizens a paramount duty, then I'm the guy. I literally, since I've been elected county commissioner, we had some tough times at the very beginning. We were completely broke. We did the hard things when we ran out of money. We cut the budget instead of living outside of our means, and we haven't raised the taxes in years. It's hard to imagine when your taxes keep going up, but you pay the state, you pay the schools, you pay everybody. So I want you to understand that just because we collect it don't mean we keep it. In 2016, you paid $1.31 per thousand for your home to the county general fund. This year, you're paying 72 cents per thousand, because literally, although your property values go up, our pie stayed the same, so it's gone down. For our sheriff's budget, when I came in, it was 9.7 million, now it's 17.8. We've made it a paramount duty of our county and of government to protect the people and to do what government can't do. I'm the guy you're gonna see at the store every day, and you always have. And later on, we'll talk about some of the things that I've actually done in the community, because that's where I've spent my whole life, right here in the community doing things. I haven't been sitting on the sidelines. I'm not somebody that just literally shows up to something and say that I've done it. I actually participate. I don't just attend, and you'll see that about me. So Randy Netherland, I'm your neighbor, I'm your friend, and I take more pride in that than I do anything else. And I hope that you decide that I'm still needed. And if not, that's okay too. But if you do, I'd love to be there to serve, stand up for you one more time. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Will Harris, and I'm running for County Commissioner of District 1. I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about who my background is. Some of you know me, some of you don't. But I grew up about 35 miles that way over in Puyallup, and after graduating high school, went down to St. Martin's College, and that's where I met my lovely bride of now 40 years. I'm a husband, I have 4 children. I have 3 grandchildren, and we're expecting our 4th one here in August. It's beyond exciting because the 4th grandchild is all the way in Auburn, and you see my wife's big smile in the background. At St. Martin's, I picked up a degree in civil engineering, and at that point, I entered our Air Force. I spent the next 24 years literally circling the globe. Spent 3 years in Germany, 2 in Portugal, 3 in Okinawa, another year and a half or so in the desert. What that means, what it should mean to you, is I'm a public works officer. So I spend a lot of time, I led a design engineering team where we did all the community planning, all the design, and all the construction. We ran about a $4 to $5 million a year program. This was back in 1992. Moving forward, as a squadron commander, I led the largest civil engineering squadron in the Air Force. I was a fire marshal, led explosive ordnance disposal, led the readiness operation, but most importantly, I led the community support organization. This is the group that maintains and operates all the infrastructure, the sewer systems, the roads, the electrical. We ran a dual runway airport, responsible for all the facility maintenance. In that job, had $80 million to manage and led 820 people. So you start to see a scope of effort in this, and a diversity of jobs, and just an experience set that is truly unique. I often wonder what my life would be like if I hadn't done the service, and I really think it would be very, very different. The service provided opportunities to a young man that it's just unbelievable, folks, what they do. As I moved on, I was a support group commander, so that's community support, so that's the public works, all the logistics, supply, transportation, billeting, and food services. Had 1,000 people, $100 million in that one. Ran a $2.8 billion construction program. It was a global construction program. And then since leaving the Air Force, I've been, for the last 15 years, supporting Department of Energy in large construction projects, somewhere between $50 million and $1 billion. What that means is I know how to manage scope, schedule, and deliver things on time. Thank you.
There's another.
Yeah, we have one on the other side.
Okay, good. Oh.
You want this one, buddy?
That works.
All right.
Hi, my name is Tom Beeben. I am a candidate for County Commissioner in District 2. I came to Mason County in 2006, opened a business in 2007. I've spent the last 17 years using our business as a platform to fill needs throughout our county. I feel blessed to have been able to do that, and I really do feel like my family and I, my wife and my child and I, have been able to live the American dream through Mason County. After 17 years, I've taken kind of a step back from our business and have decided to find a way to give back even more to Mason County. I would love to see us grow into the future with improvements in infrastructure and improvements in tackling the problems that we face in housing and homelessness. I believe wholeheartedly that this county as a whole has a really bright future, and I want to do anything that I can to help bring that future to light. Again, my name's Tom Beeben. I'm a candidate for County Commissioner in District 2, and I hope for your vote in August.
Is this one working? How about now? Okay. Hi there. I'm Richard Beckman, candidate for Mason County Commissioner, District Number 2. My wife, Kim, of 23 years, supports me on this crazy new adventure. We want a better Mason County for your kids and grandkids and our kids and grandkids. Kim and 4 of our children were born and raised here in Mason County. I wasn't. I moved here in 1995. I chose Mason County, and Mason County is my home. My son graduates high school this month with 2 college degrees. One of my daughters has straight A's in college and is on the president's list. All 5 of our children are contributing to society, and we're proud of each and every one of them. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I come from a dual foundation in real estate and technology. As we know, real estate is closely controlled by politics, from building permits to growth management to even flood insurance. Now, most of my adult life has been influenced by politics. When I was in construction, there was a slowdown in the timber industry due to the spotted owl. So I went to school on the dislocated timber worker program during the day, and I got my degree in information systems technology. In the evenings, I went to school for real estate. As we know, real estate became my passion. In the late 90s, growth management policies went into effect and caused a housing moratorium in Mason County. So I had to pivot again, and I went to work for Realtor.com before they were a publicly traded company. I managed teams across multiple states as Realtor.com became a publicly traded company. It was a pleasure to bridge my real estate and technology background to help Realtor.com grow, and it was a pleasure working for corporate America as well. In 2007, I purchased a real estate firm. Unfortunately, at the end of that year, the Great Recession hit. That tested my resolve and my ability to deal with adversity. Fortunately, during that downturn, I was actually able to purchase another real estate firm and take over 2 property management companies. And that firm is still in existence today and still growing. I'm the past president and past government affairs chair for the Mason County Association of Realtors. And I was selected by my peers as Realtor of the Year. I'm currently the real estate broker for Mason County. I'm already working with the county, I already know what's going on. And just so you know, make note, once I'm elected, I will terminate that contract with the county and let the commissioners select another new real estate firm here in Mason County. I was also on the infrastructure task force for the city of Shelton. Commissioners deal with important tasks like building permits, infrastructure, and budgeting. Real estate brokers deal with building permits, infrastructure, and budgeting. That makes me a perfect fit. I'm the only candidate that can hit the road day one at post-election and make things happen.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. My name is Pat Tarswell. I am running for Mason County Commissioner, District 2. I've been a resident of Mason County only for 18 years, but like Richard here, I chose to move here. I moved my business, and I moved 5 families up here. My wife and I have been married 47 years, 3 kids, 5 grandkids. Before moving here and before starting my business 33 years ago, I ran a research and development department at another company. I took some of the patents that I had received there and I turned them into another company. I have 5 patents. So I have a unique perspective on this. I taught the Constitution for 2 years to adults, so I have a pretty strong foundation in what our nation was founded on and what our government is supposed to do. The purpose of government, it's stated very clearly in Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution. The last sentence is, governments are established to protect and maintain individual rights. I think we've lost sight of some of that. We do way more things than we should in regards to protecting individual rights. That includes your property rights. We're a little weak on those things. We need to take care of that. But having been a business owner for 33 years, I have no problems making decisions and making hard decisions. We've gone through ups and downs after 33 years. You've seen it all. But I think in Mason County, we have a bright future. Bremerton is building, they're increasing the size of the shipyards. They're probably going to add 10,000 new jobs. Most of those people are going to be moving to Mason County. We better start being proactive in planning as opposed to reactive. We've had way too much reaction going on, so let's be proactive. And I just want to say, I think that together we can pave a brighter future for Mason County. My name is Pat Tarswell, running for County Commissioner, District 2. I need your vote and I need your support. Thank you very much.
The mic's turned off.
Okay, I've got a loud. Okay, so, in preparing for this, you can tell me how you feel about this. The topics that we have explored over the last 2 years is, for North Mason and Mason County, is economic development, infrastructure improvement, environmental protection, affordable housing, public safety, healthcare access, budget management, homelessness, and community engagement. So, with those topics in mind, I have 9 questions, and I thought it would be fair, and just so you know, the candidates know the topics, but they don't know the questions, because that would not make it as much fun. So we're gonna have them select the question, and each candidate has 2 minutes or less to answer. So are you ready? Who's ready? Boyd's ready! Okay, so let's get started. So since Pat went last, we're gonna let him go first. Sound good? Okay. Pick her question, sir. Okay, thank you. It's like the Academy Awards.
And the winner is?
And the winner is all of you for doing this. So the topic of this question is affordable housing. What measures would you implement to increase the availability of affordable housing in Mason County?
Well, first of all, I think if we set the free market free again, is really where we need to go. We have too many government regulations restricting housing. So the law of supply and demand is pretty simple. If you choke off the supply, the prices must skyrocket. So as we choke off the supply through government means, GMA and others, we automatically cause the prices of homes across the board to go up. So if we would set the free market free again, allow builders to develop in a planned fashion, then we would have some more expensive homes, some medium homes, and some low price homes. But as the upward mobility happens, as people move from a smaller home into a bigger home or a lower priced home into a nicer home, there's a backfill situation. People will be moving up and improving their situation, including at the low end. Those homes will also be emptying out and making more availability. It will lower the prices overall, and that's how we're going to get growth, is set the free market free. Thank you.
Your next, Richard.
Oh,
Same question.
all right.
Just go down the line.
Just go down the line. All right, affordable housing. Washington State is ranked 50th in the nation for housing supply. And our median price here in Mason County for a home is $410,000. That means I have to make $117,000 a year to purchase a home. Our median income for Mason County is right around $78,000, meaning that our average resident can't afford to purchase a home right now. It's about supply and demand. My goal is to create more housing and create more employment opportunities here in Mason County. We need to streamline the permit process. It takes too long to get a building permit here in Mason County. We need more affordable housing. We need more affordable rentals. I currently work with the homeless shelter. I work with hosts to provide housing for teenage children as well. We rent the building to them. And so we need both homes to buy, we need homes to rent. And we need to loosen the restrictions. We need to work with the 35th and find a way to push back on growth management. Growth management has hampered the amount of homes that we have. It's taken away the buildable land supply that we have, and we need to find the gray area there. Nobody's done that since growth management has gone into play. And we need to find a way to create more housing and to create more rental opportunities. And jobs. I mean, we need jobs. When our kids graduate college, they should be able to come back to Mason County and have a living wage job and have affordable housing as well. And when I'm elected, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work with the EDC to create more job opportunities. I'm going to streamline the building permit process, and I am going to relax the restrictions on ADUs. So people, if you have 5 acres, you can put an ADU, auxiliary dwelling unit, on your property and rent that out at an affordable rate.
I think when we talk about affordable housing, I think we all kind of realize the pinch here in Mason County. I think over the last decade or so, we've seen about 25% of the households in Mason counties that were previously second homes. 90% of those, 80 to 90% of those have become vacation rentals. So we've seen a stark decline in the number of rental houses available, and I think a lot of the folks in our county with their income levels rely on that. I think long term we need to look at solutions in multifamily dwellings. I think that can have a major impact on the problem that we see today. I mean, it really is a supply and demand issue. And if we can find a way to incentivize larger builders to build multifamily units, I think we can fill a large part of that need. Over time, I think multifamily is going to be the way to go. I know the rental market here is well beyond the means of most people who can rent homes. As an employer of 18 to 35-year-old employees, I know we struggle with folks that work for us that make a decent wage. You know, there are people that work for us that make a decent wage that have 2 or 3 other people in their household that are helping pay the rent. But over time, I think more housing is better, and finding a way to build more houses. Over the next 18 to 20 years, we're going to see a need in Mason County for up to 11,000 new homes with growth. And I don't think we're on that pace now.
When you look at affordable housing, one of the first questions I've asked multiple groups is, what is an affordable house? And the answer, I like your laugh, sir, because it's the nonverbals that are priceless here. Because not affordable sort of gets into, well, how much can I afford? And that makes it a very difficult equation here. As we heard, a house is $410,000. That's $2,800 a month. That makes it very difficult. As we move forward, what we need to do is we need to look at a variety of houses, from tiny to entry to moderate to large homes. We need to look at multiplex units, and that's exactly what I'm doing as part of your Planning Advisory Commission, helping and supporting our comprehensive plan development. We need to look very hard at the legislature that we have in Olympia and what they're doing. We need to pull back on the Climate Resiliency Act and not be the most restrictive in the nation, but align to national standards. To that end, I have been endorsed by Senator Drew McEwen, Representative Dan Griffey, and Representative Travis Couture. I think this picture is worth 1,000 words. This is at my kickoff, and what you see there is Representative Griffey, Commissioner Schutte, myself, Commissioner Trask, and Representative Couture, all in support. And so I think I have the contacts and the relationships to be able to help and drive some of that. We need to look very hard at drawing back on the natural gas. If you haven't signed the petition, please sign it. Put it to a vote of the people. okay? We need to protect property rights. As we talk about taking away, or there are ideas for small or short-term rentals being made to be rental units, that's a property rights issue. A person should be able to make their own rights. Thank you.
Okay, since we have 2 minutes, I'm going to speak really fast. First of all, I have a life full of action. It's not just ideas. A lot of people have these ideas, and they have this beautiful vision, but the truth is there's a reality out there that you have to take into consideration, certain laws and restrictions that keep you from doing the things you want to do. First of all, in actions, I actually was on the board of directors for Habitat for Humanity and ex officio for the Housing Authority. We actually work to do these type of things. I'm losing my neighbors, and I don't like that. The reason why I'm losing my neighbors is they can't afford to live here. I'm working with an organization right now. We're looking at putting smaller units. I know that doesn't sound like a great thing to some, but a 250 square foot unit, when you think of the old days in New York where they used to have a 100 square foot unit, at least they can afford to rent them for $700, $800 a month, so we might be able to keep some of our neighbors. The state makes it extremely hard. Growth Management Act has been stopping us from being able to cluster. Things like Lakeland Village, Beers Cove and stuff can't happen right now because they made it to where it had to be 5-acre parcels. We as a county can get together and start to go and fight. Pierce County was able to get down to 2.5-acre parcels. You put them in a triangle and you can start to build in clusters, which saves them money, makes it more affordable for them to be able to build it. I know I've talked to Richard about it, and I know that he was on board with doing the same thing, but it takes us to actually stand up and go and fight sometimes. That's what you have to do with the legislature. And I want to point out, although you have Republicans all saying this, you need both sides. That's why an independent makes a difference. The House of Representatives, the Senate is all controlled by the Democratic Party. You can't just do it with one party. You got to do it with all of them, all of the above. But most importantly, we had to strip out regulations here in Mason County. When I first came on, we had a lot of extra things. Now, in order to even get a new rule put in from the state, we make sure that it's required by the state. If it's not required, it doesn't go in. We've been doing that now for quite a while. So when it comes down to reality is you can afford it if we can start to do the things it takes to actually pay for it, and we can start to do smaller units and cluster. We can actually bring housing back to Mason County that you can afford and my neighbor can afford.
Well, that was fun to start, right? Okay, Richard,
Uh-oh.
it's your turn.
Oh, let's just go with number 1.
Number 1. Thank you. This one's a good one.
Community engagement. How do you plan to engage with and involve the community in decision-making processes to ensure their voices are heard and their needs are met?
We'll start with you and come back to Pat.
Well, when I'm elected as commissioner, I plan on having town halls, getting out there and meeting and greeting our constituents. Right now, there really haven't been any town halls in District Number 2 that I've heard of. So I want to reach out to all the citizens in District 2, have those meetings. We need to reach out to stakeholders in our community, get the word out, and work with all of our citizens. We really need to spread the word on affordable housing. We need to spread the word on employment opportunities. We need to communicate with industries and draw them into our community. Like I said, our average person's making right around $78,000 a year here in Mason County. They can't afford an average priced home. So we need to communicate with our citizens, attract businesses from outside the area, create good living wage jobs. It's your turn, Pat.
Oh, no, we're gonna go this way. Pat will be last.
All right.
Your turn, Pat.
I think the answer on community engagement is really simple. I think one of the biggest threats or biggest problems with democracies is when you have any group of people that feel like they aren't heard. And I think that's a threat nationwide. But really having and establishing an open door policy and being open and honest with everybody that you come across is the most important thing for me.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at community engagement, I look at it two ways. There's an engagement from the commissioner and the county staff, but I think there's also needs to be an engagement from the citizens. It's a team effort that we have to have. And I just want to pause for a minute and talk about political affiliation. Yes, I'm running on a Republican ticket. As your commissioner, I'm your commissioner. I don't care what, whether you're a Democrat or independent or libertarian or Republican. You're a member of my community. We are one community together. So as we look for that engagement and how are we going to communicate, first and foremost, I agree with the town hall meeting approach. I like that. It gets an opportunity to get government officials out in the community. Sheriff Sperling has a great example of that where he has about 4 a month in different areas of the county. The other thing I would ask is of you. We have a variety of citizen advisory panels. I'm on 2 today. I'm on the Planning Advisory Commission. I'm on the Transportation Advisory Commission, okay? But what's important is there's 19 of those in our community. That's a great opportunity to engage, for citizens to stand up and say, this is what I think. And 7 of those currently have vacancies. When I joined the transportation, I believe there were 3 vacancies at that time. And it's one of those that it has to be a team event in both ways. So it worked very well for me in large organizations to have an open door policy. And I could trust people to come in. I knew when people came in, I needed to get out from behind my desk and go sit down with them face to face. And my role was to be silent. My role was to listen. And we need more of that, and we need more citizen engagement. So I ask all of you to please help our community and step up and take a volunteer role out there. Thank you.
You know, it's easy to say no politics when we come up here. We're always going to be different than everybody else. People always ask me, Randy, how do you keep from changing? Because you keep staying the same guy. I said, I didn't change. They go, well, they always change. They go, no, they don't. The mask falls off. So pay attention to that when you're hearing it, because I can tell you right now, we had 2 Republicans that stopped us from having those public forums right here. We rezoned on top of that hill up there, and you didn't know about it. We actually had a commissioner agree with me that we were going to go to the public, then change their mind at the last minute, and so it didn't happen. You didn't like what happened on the hill with the apartments and stuff there? Wait till you see what got rezoned on the top, and we didn't bring it to Belfair in order to be heard by the public, because you should have a voice in what happens in your community. You actually still live here. Now, with that being said, I want to tell you, on that project that went up on the hill on the top, we had 170 people from here say that they didn't want it to occur, and you had 8 that said they did, and they didn't listen to it. So no matter what you do, you still have to listen. You still have to listen. It's not just as simple as taking the input. You have to do something about it. So again, that rezone on the hill, that's going to change your life up here. You're going to want to know what that is. That's one of the things I had talked to Richard about as well, when he stand up and make sure that we got the chance to come back out here, talk to you, and tell you what's about to happen here. And is there a chance to fix it? Is there a chance to change it? Yes, growth is going to occur, but we should have a say as a community what type of growth and how it occurs. Again, we live here, and all the traffic and infrastructure that is not in place needs to be in place before it gets there, or it'll crush the rest of us. So, you know, I got to tell you, it's easy to say these things, but it's harder to do it. You see me in the stores, you see me everywhere. I don't make you come to Shelton to meet with me. I'll meet with you right here, down here at the Burger Claim, and people call me and do it all the time. That's what real engagement is actually talking to them, meeting with them, and going to their house when they need you.
All right, well, first of all, thank you all for participating in citizen engagement. That's what this is. It's the opportunity for you to meet. Now, we happen to be candidates at this point in time, but you are participating in the process. One of the issues that I see is we've lost faith in our government at all levels. So we, if elected, need to reach out to you. We need to go into your neighborhoods, as others have said, but we need to do the forums. We need to show up in your neighborhoods, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get to us. You're all busy. You all have, things you're doing constantly, so we need to reach out and meet you. And we have to establish the trust and build that trust with you. It's on us to make that happen. It's not on you. You elect us, we work for you. If we're elected, we are your employees. So that's the type of engagement that I propose to have. Pretty much everybody else has said the same thing, but we have to restore that trust, and I think it's really taken a hit, certainly in the last several years, but it's been declining for quite some time. So thank you for being here, because this is part of the engagement process. So give yourself a round of applause.
Here we go again. All right, Tom.
Pick a good
Ooh,
one.
we'll take that one right there.
Okay, let's do.
Lucky number 7.
Okay, so we're gonna go this way and then circle back.
Okay.
All directions, we're good.
We'll see. Ooh, it's one of my favorites.
Okay. Okay, this one is healthcare access. What steps will you take to improve access to healthcare services, including mental health care for residents of Mason County?
Well, I think North Mason has done a really interesting thing in mobile integrated health. I think we all realize that the burden of the cost of healthcare and access to healthcare is with all of us. And I think we've seen a massive increase over the last decade or so because of that cost, ending up in the hands of our first responders and 911 calls. I think mobile integrated health, having a PA on staff with the fire department, ensures that people that would normally take a 911 call and end up waiting in an ER for several hours get access to a physician assistant inside of an hour. I think we need to take a look at taking that program countywide and increasing funding to that program. I think we all see the effects of mental health around us. I know we certainly do in downtown Shelton, as you probably do here as well. But I think access to mental health. I think a big part with that is also co-responders with our local sheriff's department and police department. I think having someone there with mental health training as opposed to an armed officer is vastly beneficial, and I think we're seeing huge improvements there in services. But long term, I know Franciscan is leaving Belfair. I think you just lost a pharmacy as well. I think over time, just supporting your local hospital district and finding a new healthcare provider for your community here will go a long way as well. I'll pass it on.
Okay, healthcare. I'm going to look at healthcare in a couple of ways. You know, we have first responders, we have sort of emergency or urgent care, and I'm going to call it general medical care that, you know, we just need standard doctors. And I think we're challenged in all three areas. The program that my opponent or my other district opponent was talking about is Chief Bo Bach and our fire chief for North Mason Fire. Their program, what they did is they put together a program where they integrate not only the fire responders, but mental health and a medic with it. So when they respond, they can actually help you in your home, and particularly for those that don't have health care, they actually have a health care, I'll say, provider to help you find that health care. It's an amazing program. It's the first in the nation. It can't expand, but it only goes so far. It's that emergency care. Then you need, you know, urgent care, and as we've seen, we've lost our doctor, and then you need standard care. In Washington State, medical is a business. We need to work within our comprehensive plan, and we need to attract the business. We need to show that we have a large and very, you know, if you will, a large clientele that needs medical care. That's not going to cover every specialty given the size of our community, but it will and can bring back to our community. With mental health, my approach would be to really advocate within the federal and the state. Bottom line, from a nationwide perspective, is we have inadequate medical and mental health and behavioral health care in the nation. We've got to get more students in school, and frankly, folks, that's beyond a county issue. We can support our high schoolers with good science and education, promote that, but we do have challenges. Thank you.
All right, action again. This isn't just ideas. We actually have to function and actually pull these things off. A few of the things that we did here is that integrated healthcare that the fire department's doing. Our two commissioners in the beginning did not support it. I was able to get them to support it, use the ARPA funds to kick it off. With that, as they're going through and they're showing the whole world how fantastic this is and how it works, how much money it saves by not having to send people by ambulance back and forth to the doctors because they don't even know what's happening when they get out of the doctors. They didn't get the right information or don't know who to ask. We're actually having on the ground interactions with people. That next step that they're working on now is mental health. So that is the next one. We're using the opioid settlement monies in order to kick that off, and that's hopefully also being kicked off with South Mason, with Central Mason in the middle, going to be capitalizing off of both of them. Again, action. I got to tell you, we brought in Peninsula Healthcare here, and people don't realize that we worked real hard to do it. It almost didn't come here. I was there at the building, brought people in to get the final pieces because they were not going to open. They were going to pull out. We were able to get them open. Over there is doctors. We do have healthcare there. We have a pharmacy there. There's a lot that, also 7 dental chairs. That's the reason why I brought them in first. But up in the high school, I helped start something, help them work with the high school to get integrated up there to where right now if a child goes in there and has a mental issue, they get treated and not billed. They don't even get to have it written down. These children are protected there. So we have that here. But I want to tell you, the largest mental health institution we have in this county is the jail. Literally, it is the jail. The majority of those in jail are in jail because of mental health issues. And so we have to address that, which is not just a county issue. We're funding it. But I got to tell you, we're taking care of it now, but we can't do it justice. We're looking at doing a new 3-prong thing. We get money from the state in order to do mental health as one of the wings there. If we do that, we can start to have a real impact on our community. But again, it's action, not just words.
Well, I can pretty much echo what they've said. I got to listen to the fire department make their presentation down in Shelton on this program where they're going out to help people. It sounds like a fantastic program. So I think we need to support that and expand that throughout the county. Mental health is really a big part of a lot of the issues that we have in this county. And that needs to take some focus from us. I don't know exactly how to do it. The state has made it very difficult. Randy says, most of the people in jail have mental health problems. That's probably true. But there are people with severe mental problems. You see them if you're in downtown Shelton, you see them walking the streets, yelling at people. Well, our kids deserve to have a safe environment. And they deserve to be able to go out and play and not be afraid. And that needs to be addressed. So I don't know how we can change it as a county commissioner, how we can change what the state has imposed, but some people, definitely for their own safety and the safety of others, need to be institutionalized. So we're going to have to work on that issue having to do with mental health, because it's a serious problem. It's just something we have to address. Thank you.
So I'm going right along with what everyone else has said here about Bo's program. In fact, it's going to be featured in the Seattle Times this weekend. In the expansion of that program, we need to find the funding for that to help out with mental health, with drug addiction, and of course the medical service as well. And I've talked to Dave Wyndham, and Randy and I have talked about this for the prison. So many of our prisoners come in with mental issues and drug addictions and things like that. If we could have a three-prong approach and be able to treat these souls, and at least some of them don't even really realize there's a path to redemption. And so if we can start that process, if we can get them when they're incarcerated and deal with some of those mental issues, put them through some drug counseling, things like that, I think we're at least laying the foundation for that mental issue to help move them forward and get the help that they need. And I'm done.
Just take the top one, either top.
Number 2.
That'll work,
Okay.
whatever's next.
Okay, so this goes right along. This topic is homelessness. What strategies will you implement to address homelessness and provide support for homeless individuals and families in Mason County?
So homelessness is as we well know, and we've already talked about a little bit up here, it's very complicated. And when you look at the people that are homeless, I'm going to broadly put them into 3 groups, and I think we need to address each group slightly differently. So we have some who have, I'll just call it recently homeless. I run paycheck to paycheck. I've missed a couple of paychecks, now I'm homeless. Those are folks that are fairly simple in relative terms to address. And so we need a program that specifically targets that group. The middle group are folks who have been longer-term homeless. There's mental issues, there's addiction, there's often abuse that is associated with that. And we need to look at how to work that piece. One of the biggest challenges, I believe, in this area is first we need to recognize a few things. One, they do have individual rights and we must protect those. 2 is it's my belief that all people can, with help and support, become contributing members of society. I think that's a very important goal that some people may not look at, okay? And so we need to take a look and we need to deal with the addictions. And until, very frankly, if anyone has not dealt with someone with addictions, until you recognize you have a problem, you're not going to get help, okay? So step 1 is helping them recognize it, okay? With homelessness, I do not believe a shell game is the right way to go. I don't believe and I don't support, if you will, sending them to another county, okay? And basically, if you'll extraditing them for a short period of time, 6 months or a year, and then allowing them to come back in. If our sister counties around us do the same thing, all we're doing is playing a shell game. We need to find real, compassionate, measurable solutions to help build people. Red card.
You know, action again. Here in Mason County, we spend a lot of money on homeless. You'd be shocked how much money goes into homeless, helping the homeless out into ways of rapid rehousing. The different things that we do would blow you away, but it's just like anything else. The more dishes of food you have out, the more people you're gonna have that's gonna be eating them. But we have to focus on the ones that we can actually have an effect on. There's different people that are homeless around here. There's those that literally cannot afford to live where they are. We have people that are living off of vouchers, and we're hoping to find places that will take their voucher. Then you have other ones that are just barely can't make it. My friends, my neighbors that we grew up with don't have $1,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment on top of the hill. That's why we're talking about these smaller apartments that people could afford to live in at $700 to $800. So these people that are in the middle are the ones we forget all about, because a little bit of adjustment, we can help many compared to trying to help them all. But never forget, there's also those that are not looking to be helped. They're not looking to spend any dollar they have in order to have housing. They have another use for that dollar. And we can't pretend that we don't know that that's a reality. We can't pretend that we can actually fix everybody. eventually we have to do something about it. One of the issues he's talking about, and I'm sure it'll come up later in different stuff, the idea is it has nothing to do with homelessness. It has to do with if you do a crime, if you do something wrong, you'll have a couple options. 1, a fine, 2, you can spend time, 3, you can get rehab, or 4, you can leave. It's a non-prosecution agreement, completely different. But aside from that, these people that are homeless, that we're trying to help the best that we can, remember, some of them don't want to be helped. So we have to make sure that our families are protected if they're going to lose their mind and they're going to be out there hurting them. So remember that when you're taking these things into consideration. But it is important. Everybody's important. You have somebody over here that's working with Coyote Village, and they're doing small, tiny homes. That's another avenue that we have to look at for being able to take care of those that want to actually be taken care of. Thank you.
Well, we're all in the same boat here. Really, we are. Homelessness is a serious problem. Yeah, there's 3, maybe 4 different categories which cause homelessness and people to be homeless. Drugs, alcohol addiction, that's a real serious part of the homelessness. Mental illness is another serious problem that causes homelessness. Then there's the temporary people. The temporary people is the wrong way to put it. They're temporarily homeless. They're looking for a way to have a home, and they don't. We need to partner with the religious organizations and people that are working to help the homeless, but that group, as Will said, is probably the easiest one to fix. We can focus on getting them in locations. We have Turning Point for battered spouses that they can help them out and put them in safe locations. That's a requirement. I'm not exactly sure how we stop people from taking drugs. The only thing that we could probably do as a county is cut off the source. Everyone knows you're never going to eliminate the source, but if we make it much more difficult for them to get drugs, we're going to reduce that effect. If it's hard to get drugs in Mason County, they will go somewhere else to get their drugs. So that's one way to help alleviate that aspect. And the last one are the people who choose to be homeless. They don't want to be part of that system. And I don't know how you can change somebody's mind who's just decided to opt out of the system. Thank you.
All right, well, I am a housing provider, and we provide housing for quite a few tenants here in Mason County. And we work with the homeless shelter, Crossroads. They have a great funding source for tenants. When they get behind on rent, they help pay their rent and keep them in their units. That was very beneficial during the COVID period. I also work with Host, and that helps homeless teenagers as well. Another great program that we're working on. And with homelessness, a lot of the tenants out there are one paycheck away from missing a rent payment. And the correlation I want to make is, if you have a shortage of electricians, would you make it harder for you to get your electrician's license? Would you make it harder for that electrician to work? You wouldn't do that. Well, with all these crazy laws and rules and the potential of rent control, that makes it more and more difficult for these property owners to keep their rents low. They're all fearful that they're going to get locked into rent control. If we have a free market and we have a good supply and demand, your price point is driven by supply and demand. We don't want prices to go through the roof. We need to create additional housing. We need affordable housing. And as your commissioner, I will work hard to make that happen. I also wanted to let you know that I have a few endorsements myself. I was endorsed by the Mason County Association of Realtors, Peninsula Topsoil, Jack Johnson, River Hill Properties, Hunter Farms, Claudia Bauer, S&J Johnson LLC, and Clifton Heights LLC, just to name a few. Oh, I like the yellow card.
I think the actual answer to homelessness is pretty simple. It's housing, right? I think we need to find creative solutions to get people into either temporary or short-term or long-term housing. I think a great way to go about it would be to go to our friends Griffey and Couture and McEwen at the state level and even at the federal level. Let's fight for grant money to find creative solutions. Let's try and identify municipalities and counties like ours around the country that are having success with this issue and use that as a blueprint to work our own programs. I think we can look at options for temporary housing that can integrate both mental health and drug abuse treatment programs to get people, as Will said, if some people just need a hand up and a hand out, and I think that's a way that we can go about that and really make an impact on the problem as a whole. Who's gonna be next? No?
Number 3.
You want number 3?
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Let's just make it easy.
We'll go back this way.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, so this one is concerning public safety. What are your plans to enhance public safety and support law enforcement in Mason County while ensuring community trust and accountability?
Okay, so first of all, we've been doing that here in Mason County, as I was explaining before. Even when we had tough times with the budget, we made sure that our sheriff's department was taken care of. You have 54 commissioned officers that are on the budget. You have 27 corrections officers. You have 5 civil service officers and other support. With that, we've also been able to bring in new vehicles because we created a lease where now we are able to turn it over every few years, where they used to have them for 10 years and run 200,000 miles. Now we're turning them over before they even hit 50. We've got them all kinds of tools, so we're trying to get them everything we can because the state made it so hard for them to be able to arrest people and to be able to use force to protect themselves. We gave them everything we could that was non-lethal, that was top of the line. Another thing we gave them was the cameras. The reason why the body cameras are there, though, is not so that the citizens can see if they've done something wrong. It's the opposite. It's so they can catch them in the act of being excellent. You'd be surprised how good they actually are at what they do and how well trained they are. They could actually train others out of Mason County here. Now, one of the things that's going to come up eventually here is I have this thing that I've been working on, and although somebody will say it's non-constitutional or anything like that, that's ridiculous because, right, as you know, they already say, don't come here anymore and I won't arrest you. You leave her alone, stay away from her, I won't arrest you. The one who helped me to work on this, aside from Councilman George Blush up here, is the public defender, the guy who would say it's unconstitutional. He's the one that helped make it happen. Already, it can't be unconstitutional anyway because the state of Texas does much worse. This is a non-prosecution agreement. If you do something wrong, you can go to jail pay a $1,000 fine, go to jail, do rehab that you pay for yourself, or perhaps you just go ahead and you leave the county for 6 months. Once we get them out of the county, then they take their drugs with them. That's how you help dry up the drugs. But again, it's a choice, nothing more than a choice. They can choose to do that. It's non-prosecution. Now, if they come back, then they'd be prosecuted. So no rights are being taken away, and it's literally their choice. If we decide to do that, we're just looking at different options.
Well, first of all, trust is something that looks like we're doing pretty well. If you've gone on a ride along with the sheriff or any of the deputies, the trust is there in this community for our sheriff's department. So I don't think we have a whole lot of work to do there. But we have to take a holistic approach on the public safety. Public safety it's like a three-legged stool. The sheriff's department and the corrections officers, okay, we've taken care of them. the jail, we need the jail, and we need to take care of our prosecuting attorneys and our defense attorneys. Right now, we are bleeding prosecutors and defense attorneys. They can go to Kitsap or to Olympia and make $30,000 to $50,000 a year more, so they pick up and they leave. So we're constantly having to hire new trainees in all of those departments. So it's difficult. We're very inefficient when we do that. So that's costing us money. And if you end up not having adequate defense attorneys and prosecutors, it becomes a catch and release program. The sheriffs can do an excellent job, and they have to let them go because we can't give them adequate legal protection or prosecute them, either way. Same thing with the jail. It's a three-legged stool. If you don't take care of all three legs, that stool's going to collapse. And we're the ones who suffer when that collapses. So we have to take that holistic approach, look at it, public safety as not just the police officers, but it's all aspects. It also includes the fire department as part of public safety. So I'll support all of those. Thank you.
You ready? All right, as for law enforcement, yeah, I would love to see more officers on the road, definitely. I've had a chance to tour the jail. I've also had a chance to tour the youth detention center as well, and meet with our fire chiefs and deal with the craziness that's going on out there at Fire District 12. Anyway, I think from a funding standpoint, yes, we do a lot of training, and we lose a lot of good people to other counties. So maybe we need to find another way to come up with, bonuses and retention programs to keep our employees here in Mason County. We want to make sure if, they come in, that they're going home to their family and they're working, that they go home to their family safely each and every night. From the law enforcement, definitely fund any and all law enforcement. From the fire department, we just had a meeting with the chiefs. We need more communication from just like we need to get out in our communities and meet with our citizens and do forums and get feedback. We need to do that with the fire departments as well, with each and every one of them in our district. My name's Richard Beckman. Vote Beckman.
I think that public safety is the most important job for any public official. I think in our case, I think fully funding our sheriff's department and fire departments and making sure that they have all the tools that they need and are necessary to do their jobs is vastly important. But also looking forward towards the future and seeing that we have new needs in mental health and medical personnel available with our deputies and first responders. And I think it's going to be really important for us moving forward to make sure that we acknowledge that and that we do have co-responders with every call for mental health. I think long-term, in the short term and long term, we have always taken care of. I've taken right along with Sheriff Sperling. We toured the jail. Was really shocked to find out that our jail is understaffed in a way that it is. That Mason County currently is paying $135 to $150 per day per inmate for 15 or more inmates to stay at another facility outside of Mason County. The amount what that amounts to over the course of a year is probably close to $600,000, and that would actually fund, with benefits, 3 more deputies at the jail. So obviously there's something amiss there in that we are unable to hire people. Maybe it's just that we're not competitive enough with wages, and I think that's a microcosm of our county as a whole, whether it be engineers or sheriff's deputies. I think countywide we're seeing the same thing, is that we have positions that are unfilled because we as a county are not paying competitive wages. And I think that needs to be addressed.
If you look at the blue card on your table, look at the priorities on my list. Public safety is number one, and I believe that. Very integrated, and there's homelessness and addictions. As we look at public safety, there's really three key parts. Number one, go catch people who are doing wrong things. Number two is both defend them appropriately and prosecute them. Allow the courts to make the appropriate decision, and then you house them if they are guilty. If not, they come back into society as an innocent person. We need to protect their rights at all stages, just as we want to protect our own rights as a potential victim. There's both sides of that equation. What would I do? We need to increase the sheriff's force. That's the number one topic. I talked with Sheriff Sperling and said, what do you need? He goes, people. That's the number one thing he needs. We need to discuss, reverting some of the laws that we have that allow criminals to be criminals. We need to get with, Senator McEwen, Representatives Griffey and Couture. I'm confident I can work with Drew, Dan, and Travis and have that work. We need to build a jail, and that is moving along but needs work. One last thing, as far as the relocation and diversion, I'm going to disagree with my opponent with regards to its ability to work. And I'm just going to read, this is from a public records request. It reads, if it were possible to legally implement something like this, it would require substantial revisions from the current proposal. So to safeguard an affected individual's right to liberty, right to remain silent, right to incriminate oneself, right to counsel, right to due process, right to travel freely, and right to equal protection. That's from our prosecuting attorney, Mike Dorsey.
So we're gonna do one more of,
We're gonna do one more question, and let me see. Okay, that's better for me. Okay. So, so what I wanted to talk about was, the community engagement. I want to give kudos to someone who, our organization is small, right? But we're kind of mighty and kind of spunky, so we're still hanging in there. But there was one person that was elected, and she has been at almost all of our meetings, and she is truly engaged, and that's our PUD commissioner. Stand up, Julie. So, Julie Toussaint, and she always brings her wonderful husband, and I think she pays her dues twice. I'm just saying. That is so wonderful. So I never have to, worry that we have at least a third of our meeting fee paid for by Julie. So we're gonna have her pick the next question.
You have to answer it too.
Good luck.
thank you, number 8. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Julie. Woo. This is gonna be good.
Okay, so this is about budget management. We all like budgets, don't we? How will you ensure that the county's budget is managed effectively and transparently, and what are your priorities for allocating resources?
So where are we starting?
We'll start with you.
I was the last one.
I know.
Okay.
I make the rules.
Okay, look at the flyer that's in front of you. When it comes to being good at budgets, we used to be completely broke. We were down to $165,000 cash on hand in the middle of the year. We did what no other county does. We actually cut the budget, lived within our means, and we've been very effective at staying that way. Now, believe me, party has nothing to do with it. We have one commissioner that's still in office now that, as a Republican, he passed the largest tax increase in Mason County history, 10% on the general fund, 10% on the road fund. Now, luckily, I was able to get it repealed and have the other commissioners switch or vote before it got enacted. But we literally are in the best fiscal position that Mason County has ever been in the history of Mason County. Where before, we were down to 165,000 cash on hand. This year, the same time, we had $25 million cash on hand, and that's without raising your taxes all these years. So I call that good budget management. But it's as simple as living within your means, but also having to say no sometimes. But at the same time, as you heard already, we increased our sheriff's budget. It is now 17.8. Grays Harbor, which is a county of 77,000, we're 67,000, is 12.5 million. Island County, 87,000, is 12.5 million. Ours is 17.8. We take care of our law enforcement. And a little correction on something they're talking about when it comes to wages. You need to know that our deputies, in our comparables, we made them number 1. That's why we're able to fill up all our deputies' positions. Matter of fact, we have them 3% below Thurston County, which is so much greater in size than us that there's not even a comparable even close. So with that, we're down 3 in the corrections department, but understand this is an issue all through the state. That's not Mason County. That is everywhere. Thurston County had, 28 deputies off? We had 3, but we still have to fill them. I'm in the middle of negotiations now. I hope to do the same thing we did with law enforcement, get them up there to be number 1 on the comparables, steal from the other counties, and then withhold them for ourselves and for our own use.
I think you're up.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Let me get my timer going. All right. So when we talk about budget management, there's 2 key pieces that we want to talk about. Is 1, how do you manage the budget? How do you maintain transparency? So when we look at our budget, I do commend the commission as a whole and our county staff, all the elects and the department heads. They have worked well together to manage the budget. We do have some big challenges coming in front of us. If you look at our general fund, it's $52 million. Special fund is about 70, and those come very specific. In the general fund, we're facing some significant increases. We have unfunded mandates from the state, and we need to look at how to either push back or how to address these. Primary way I would address budget management from my perspective is personal direct involvement and collaboration with the other commissioners, with the other elects, and with the department heads. How do we maintain and ensure everything's there? We currently have a review on a monthly basis of how much you're spending versus what your budget is. We add potentially independent audit to that, so we have a separate and non-biased individual looking at government funds. We talk about, when we look at the budget too, I think it's important to look that our budget it really is 2 parts. It has mandated funds that are directly out of the RCW and WAC. That represents about 95-97%. There are some funds that we have thoughtfully decided to spend because of needs of the community. Those are non-mandates. What we need to do is review those on an annual basis and adjust accordingly. It is a tough process as we come forward, but I do believe with my background, my experience, I've proven I can manage funds, and particularly with the great team we have and our other elects, our department heads, I have great confidence. Thank you.
Well, I think budget management is probably the most important job or aspect of a commissioner's role or life. I work in an industry that historically has a 90% failure rate, and we've been able to make it for 17 years now through COVID, which was a pretty rough stretch for all of us. But I fully understand how budgets work and really how in tough times you need to really prioritize what is the most important. I think working in collaboration with the other commissioners, along with department heads throughout the county, to find out and identify what things are the most important and most pressing is really the most important thing. But also to make sure that people that bring concerns or budget needs to you are heard and understood and prioritized in the same fashion.
Well, as a small business owner, I know all about budgeting, and it is very important at the county level. It's one of the most important jobs that a commissioner does. And so we have to make sure that everything is transparent, that we're hearing all parties, all departments, and that we have good communication. And that's the important thing with a big organization like the county, is communication with the department heads. Some things that are taxing on the budget, putting people in jail. I like Randy's idea about exporting some of these criminals out of county. I know I overheard somebody talking yesterday that Tacoma is sending people down this direction. Why can't we send them out of the county as well? Why should that be taxing on our budget when we can push them out of county? The other thing you need to do with budgeting is support local businesses. My first task as county commissioner candidate was to actually reach out and purchase my signs from a local business. I wish all the candidates that are running for position to purchase their signs here locally in Mason County as well. We need to support local business and not export those jobs out of county. Let's shop local, let's buy local, and let's support our local businesses.
So transparency is actually handled pretty well in this state. We have some very good sunshine laws, which means the light of sunshine will disinfect. So we have to pay attention to the sunshine laws. So transparency is handled very well in this state, so I won't bother discussing that. The question was priorities of budgets. Well, if you were to look at my flyer, you'd see fiscal responsibility is one of my top issues. We need to start being much more fiscally responsible. You can look at that at micro level, like how we take care of our roads. If we would maintain the roads, do chip sealing more often, things like that, it would reduce the cost of repairs. If we would trim the trees more often, keep the sunlight on the road, it would get rid of the water. Water is what destroys roadways. There's a lot of small things that we can do that will drastically reduce our expenditure.
This time it wasn't you. It wasn't me. I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's.
Somebody felt like that was a good point.
If I go back to the flyer, public safety. We have to focus on public safety. That's part of protecting individual rights, and that's a prime function of government, so we have to focus on that as a priority. And economic development. This county will be growing. That's a wonderful problem to have, but we better do it by proactive measures instead of reactive measures. In 2000, my company had an explosion in growth. We had to go from $1 million a year to, we were trying to get to $200 million a year in 2 years. So I dealt with an extreme growth curve as a business owner. So thank you very much. I think my time is.
He deserves
Anyway,
more with it.
thank you very much.
Got a red card.
Yeah, he deserves more with that, whatever that was. Good job, keep track of these up.
Keep the track of you
Keep track of
guys.
us, people.
Yeah.
Pick up your foot.
Oh,
There we
sorry.
go. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now it's your turn. I know. I told Pat to remind me because, it's easy to get sidetracked. I like shiny objects. But, so it's your turn. So we're going to spend the rest of our time here. If you have a specific question, try to keep it not a long story. We could do that later. So that we also have time to talk to the candidates afterwards.
Senior housing. 15 years ago, we moved out here and asked the permit department, could we build a shipping container home? They said, I don't know what that is. And I said, look on the internet. It's not like we're in the 1800s. So, used for housing or homeless shelters, it's a one-thing deal. You want to put them in that cluster of 3 that you have? You could do that. And it's a lot less expensive than a real home. top that you would pay for it and to be installed, $25,000. And you can go up to 4 bedrooms in a 40-footer or 2 bedrooms in a 20-footer.
What's the question?
How about it? You're looking for homeless or low-income housing. Now, when you can build a home for $25,000, what's the problem? The county can do that. Anybody want to answer?
David, does anyone want to?
I'll address that. Great idea, and I've seen it done. And yeah, keep me on time, whatever that time is at this point,
1 minute.
okay? Yeah, I've seen it done. I think the challenge we have, one, I like the idea. I'd love to try it, okay? We need to look at how areas are zoned. Is that allowed? What are the state laws and the code requirements? Given the environmental resiliency and the requirements for insulation, for greenhouse gas credits and et cetera, for putting in wiring and plumbing per code, for getting sewer per code, may be very challenging to hit 25K. You know, I like the idea, but I think there may be more to it in this state. I'm not saying it can't be done, I'm just saying that we have some challenges. Anyone else? Got it?
So Kat, I've already been looking into that. I actually have, especially on the property we have over right here, one of the problems we're into that even though it may cost $25,000, you still got to pay for all the sewer hookup, you still have to pay for all the water hookup, and all the ancillary stuff that goes to it to bring the power. So that does bring the cost way up, but it is possible in Washington State. The only thing that stops it is it has to be built to L&I specifications, just like you would a manufactured home or a modular home. So it has to meet those standards. If it meets those standards, Mason County will allow it and will take it on. It does not mean that it'll be financed by some of the finance companies. They may never touch it. But at least it's something that could be done, and it could probably be done for around $50,000 total. So yes, we're already looking at it, and Kel Rowan, our director, has already been looking into how to get it done. So.
I'm just gonna echo what Randy said. I was gonna say 25,000, boy, I could sell those all day long. That's a heck of a deal. But I've actually been through a few of those homes, and they're quite beautiful. You wouldn't even really know they're a container home. And yes, there's all kinds of different housing types out there, and there's somebody for every home, and that would be a great housing option.
That or senior living.
Yes,
We need
yes.
more senior living because our seniors can't afford their own homes.
And one of the things I forgot about when we were talking about budgeting is I'm trying to raise funds, and I have this barcode on the backside.
No.
I'm
Please
raising
scan that.
funds tonight. No, just kidding.
So we're raising funds as well, that goes right to an app.
All right, Mel.
All right, my question, I had 3, but I'm cutting it down to 1, because they're only allowing me 1. You're talking about public safety and about the need for more officers and this and that. My question is, what about making sure our prosecutors actually prosecute the crimes so that our sheriffs and law enforcement officers don't feel like it's not worth, holding people accountable because it's not going to get prosecuted anyway?
Thank you, Mel. Who wants to? 1 minute.
Okay. Absolutely, that's what we have to do. But when we are short-staffed, as we are in the prosecutor's office, they have to be selective too. They have to focus on things that they can focus on. If we can't staff the prosecutor's office, this problem's just gonna get worse. We have the same problem with what the Supreme Court ruling was with defense attorneys. They're basically dividing by 4 the workload of the defense attorneys. We're already way understaffed in the defense attorney department. Well, if you divide that by 4, what happens? All of a sudden, we don't have any defense attorneys to handle any crimes. Well, if you process a murder versus a misdemeanor, well, the misdemeanor doesn't take nearly so long. So it's a bad system, and we need to address that.
just going to make a public service announcement. Please go to the Supreme Court website and make a comment on exactly what Pat Tarzos is talking about. The Supreme Court is currently reviewing the Washington State Bar Association opinion that we should decrease the workload on our defense attorneys, and the result is we go from $1 million to a $3.5 million budget requirement. Those are rough numbers. I'm sure Commissioner Netherland has better numbers given he's on the board, but please go to the website, comment, give them your opinion. We saw what petitions and initiatives can do in this state. Speak up as a member of our community. Thank you.
So yeah, the same thing as he was saying, it's all connected. We've had a position in the prosecuting attorney's office that's been open for well over a year. We fill it, but we also lose one at the same time. That's just how it works, especially in this industry. Right now with public defenders going through the roof and how much they're being paid, and they're only eventually going to only have 47 cases in a year. That's all they'd be able to do. The cost right now for just a half contract has gone up to $95,000 for one half person. We have to be the same with our prosecuting attorneys. The whole state is going to see a shift from prosecuting attorneys to public defenders as that price is going up there. But how do we get them to do more? Well, I tried to get them another position, even though they're one down. I also was working on with them to get 2 support positions that can carry a lot of that other weight. But it's always going to be up to your elected official. You have to talk to them. You have to convince them. But it's an equity of what they have to work with and picking the ones that they feel are the most winnable.
The next one, there should be one, right? There we go.
So we all know that there's a big divide between the north end and Shelton. And my question is, how do you propose to represent the north end that seems to get pushed to the back? You know, there was a taxation without representation Tea Party many years ago that I feel keeps rearing its head in our county. And so my question to you is, how do you plan to ensure that we up here are being heard that seems to not happen all the time? Or at least on the bigger issues, especially like the bypass, you know, those things that affect us in North Mason that not necessarily happen in Shelton.
I think it's really important to acknowledge that over the next decade or more, the economic growth that's going to come from the north part of the county. What we're seeing with new dry docks and a new carrier coming to Bremerton is going to bring growth here. I think this part of the county will be a massive factor in our growth moving forward, and I think we need to plan for that. And like Pat said, I think we need to take a more proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. Whether we're ready for it or not, growth is coming here. I think over the long term, we need to really embrace and accept that growth and do whatever we can to make infrastructure improvements in this part of the county.
So to address the north end, in addition to the shipyard, the commercial airport at Bremerton, the Port of Bremerton is looking at a significant increase, making it a commercial international airport. Okay, that's going to bring 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 jobs, associated families. That's 4 miles from our border. Okay, we need to embrace that, and that's the way we do that is through our comprehensive plan. And please, if you want to be involved in that process, Monday the 17th, 6 o'clock, down at 411 5th Street, come on into the Commissioner Chambers. That's where the Planning Advisory Commission meets, and we're part of that. So I ask you to be part of it. How am I going to represent you? I am part of you. Obviously, we've already discussed town hall meetings. If we need to have standalones on growth, we can do that also. And obviously involving Representatives Couture, Griffey, and McEwen. The bypass is a state road, and so it's a commission. I'm done. Red card.
I love how you follow directions, Will.
Yes, ma'am.
Richard.
So I think the question was, how are you going to be heard? Is that correct? And I don't know if that was answered. But like I said previously, town halls are a great way to get out and meet with the citizens of Mason County and hear what they have to say. Sheriff Sperling has been doing that. I've been tagged along going to those meetings with them as well. And that's the best way to hear how people on the north end, what's going to happen. This is where the growth is going to happen. This is where a lot of the county's tax base is actually coming from, is the north end. We need to make sure that we take care of it. We need to make sure that we're listening to you and what you want, and that we're representing you.
Okay, so I'm going to surprise you a little bit because everybody always thinks that North Mason is the short end we used to. There's no doubt about it, but then perception is reality. I get that too, because we think that if you go to Safeway right here and ask them where the nearest Walmart is, every one of them will say Paulsville, Bremerton, Port Orchard. Not a single one will even say that there's one in Shelton, because they don't know. We don't go that way. When I got elected, I was the first county commissioner of Belfair now in 37 years, so we weren't even represented. This organization was created because of that. Literally created because of that. I was the chair for the creation of the North Mason Community Voice, so that we could have a voice, because at the time, the Chamber of Commerce, who had a lot of people from out of this area, was actually running everything for our community, and the commissioners were following it. But again, elections have consequences. You have to have commissioners that are going to listen to you, that are not going to cut you off when the time comes and you start looking to put new businesses up on the hill. You don't want to crush the community. You want to at least let them have a say. So with that, also, we went ahead and we left the properties available to hopefully have a fairgrounds in the middle to try and put that together. Green Diamond owns it. I wouldn't let them sell off the building rights with the hope that eventually we'll pull it together. I swear, if I get them.
It's tough.
I feel like I'm an auctioneer.
And who's gonna get next bidder? So, recently, the county commissioned a study with the FCS group for the housing needs assessment. And one of the recommendations was that they follow the approach that the Bremerton Housing Authority did to formally appeal the current HUD-related calculated income limits for determining housing voucher eligibility levels. And what that means is that the vouchers then have a higher dollar value, so there was a lot of conversation about housing and affordability and accessibility. So all of the landlords that are partnering with the different organizations, they're able to have a higher income level because the voucher now has a higher value. And for individuals who are struggling to find another place to live because their voucher that they're on in their own housing doesn't meet the level to be able to meet some of these other areas. So my question is, given that information, would you be able to relook at allocating dollars that would help support that study, because it also helps, has an economic development aspect, helps address some of the issues in regards to affordability and accessibility and a broader scope for people to have more variety of housing, helps the landlords that are providing that, and it also helps the housing authority because their units are paid for by vouchers and they've been struggling in the red for decades, and so wondering how you would be looking at that in the future.
I won't go on.
Okay, so just so you know, the commission did look at that, and one of the things they decided is it was $75,000. They thought it was probably not the best use of $75,000 right now, especially with the idea that nobody else was kicking in to help make it happen. You gotta understand, it's not like it's something that helps the general public as a whole. It helps those that are getting vouchers. That's where this would come in. But I want you to know that as the housing authority, they went and did some of their own work and they got their voucher rates up. So there are ways to do it without going through all that. I have no problem with it, but I think if we're gonna spend 75,000 hard dollars out of the county, we need to have some of these entities that are going to profit from it actually kick in and be a part of the party. That's all. And that wasn't me, that was all three commissioners that decided at the time, because you gotta remember, we're asked to spend money all the time by everybody. We have to pick where the best place to spend money is, or else we'd be broke. We'd be back to 165,000 a year like we were.
Yeah, and I would support at least looking at that option, anything that we can do to try and keep our tenants in housing and keep them off the streets. So it would definitely be something that I would take a look at.
certainly, it's something we need to take a look at. All the options have to be on the table. How do we solve these problems? I'll go back to my original opening line. Set the free market free. Start building more homes, getting more development. We talked about the problems with attorneys. There's a lot of attorneys that don't want to work here because there's no housing. They have no place to move their family. So they might be willing to come work in Mason County, but they're going to have to live in Thurston County or up in Kitsap, and that's not acceptable. So all of these things have to be on the table. We have to look at all of them. And that's a simple answer to a complicated question.
Well, after all of these very important issues, I feel a little bit sheepish standing up here, but I too am an elected official of my homeowners association of Lakeland Village. And so, therefore, I'm going to ask the question that people who have asked me to represent them seem to be concerned about, and in the scope of what we're talking about here, it's a minor issue, but I moved into Lakeland Village 7 years ago from the Midwest, and I was shocked when I got my first sewer bill of $125. You gotta be kidding me. I lived all over the country in the Midwest, in several different cities and in the country. And so our membership has always questioned that, why it's so high. And we've heard rumors lately that that will be changed. I looked at our list, we've got 14 units. 10 of those are occupied by couples. 4 of them are occupied by single inhabitants. 4 of our units, people don't even spend the entire year here. They're snowbirds, they go away. And I know this is a small issue, but as I said, I've been asked to ask the commissioners what can be done about this. We feel it's unfair to us. And the other thing, when I read through this other thing, is refers to duplexes. We are all in condominiums. Is that a duplex? Is that a condo? Is that a single family home? I don't know. So that's my question.
Good job.
Thank you.
Who wants to take this one?
I think I might be the only one that can.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Don't count on that.
Well, here, you're welcome. You got it.
Not a problem. So, no, the sewer in Lakeland is a challenge in a lot of different ways. And for those that don't know, the sewer rate is dropping for the next 6 months from 124 to 120. And if you're in a single home, if you're in a duplex, it's going from 87 to 120. Real challenge is once we get to 6 months, it's going to be reassessed, and there is no real direction as to where we're headed. And that's the concern I have. I believe that we need to be more proactive, not reactive. I think we need a layout for the consumers, for the residents, what we're doing. It's not just that system, but all the systems. I have met with the Chief of Public Works, Chief of Utilities. There are some real challenges from a technical perspective. So I'm just looking at it from an engineering technical perspective. There are challenges, sir. I do not believe the rates are going to go down, but I'll leave that open. I have a yellow card, and he's about ready to raise the red one. So I will pass this to my friend, but walk away with it needs to be proactive. We need to be engaged with the citizenry. It should not be a surprise.
So on the Lakeland one, as he was just saying, we're lowering that one for the moment, but the truth of the matter is, it took us a long time. I've been at war for a long time just to try and have them do an actual assessment. What are the actual costs? What does it cost to maintain it? What does it cost to operate? What's the cost for debt? What does it look like for the future? Because no matter when you own something of any value like that, you also have to reinvest in it later because parts go down. They just don't work. You have to rebuy, you have to plan for new investment and new building in the future. So with that, we were able to bring that one down. Other ones had to go up a little bit, but they're still not meeting the actual cost of what it costs to operate it. And when that happens, for the long haul, that means that everybody else is sharing that cost. But now when you look at the pricing, for example, it may seem high to us because we're not used to it, we don't like those kind of costs. But my friend over here in Shelton, instead of $120 a month, it's $229 a month. And so but you'll see that's what's happening all over the country right now. But we have started to reassess it. We're looking at trying to find a way to inch it up a little bit to actually cover the cost of maintenance, operation, and debt.
Turn it on. No. There you go.
Hi.
I worked for 2.5 years with a group to stop a gravel pit across from the boat ramp down on North Shore Road. They were going to do, take 62 acres, take out 70 million cubic yards of gravel, have a rock crushing operation, and an asphalt plant on this property. We got involved because 2 weeks before the final EIS was due, the public comments were complete, somebody found the notice back in the weeds of this project. We had a group that we put together fairly quickly of about 10 of us. Brad was over there, was part of the group. And we worked for 2.5 years, spent $125,000 in legal fees. And we stopped this gravel pit. One of the things that came out of that, though, was that the county signed off on what they call a form called SM6 that said that the gravel pit was actually, that the property was actually a gravel pit. It turns out they were using a photograph from the '63 Columbus Day storm where the trees had all fallen down.
What's the question?
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
At any rate, you needed some background. The county approved the SM6 form without a public comment, without public review. We want to make sure, and there's lots of locations in Mason County where they have gravel, where they want to extract it and have a gravel pit, okay? We wanted the county, went to the county commissioners, requested that they have public hearings before they issue an SM6 form to the Department of Natural Resources. And that request was made about a year ago. My question to these people is, do they believe that creating a gravel pit in a community like this next to Hood Canal and that sort of thing ought to go through a public hearing process?
I'll be really quick. Yes.
Yes, communication is key, and open communication is important with something like that.
Yes, absolutely. Anything with an environmental impact just like that should be taken straight to the public.
We'll say yes, but for those who are aware of that story, there's more to it. I will just simply leave that as a commissioner, I'm going to be open, I'm going to be upfront. I'm not going to endanger the beauty of our Hood Canal by putting 100 trucks a day on North Shore Road, dust, everything else that would roll on down with a good storm. I'm not going to endanger the residential real estate prices for those homes around there. And I think we need to be very upfront. The records need to be clear. And I'll just stop there. If you haven't, please read more. There's more to that story.
So interesting enough, I'm in the middle of all that and have been, but you gotta understand there's also different parts to it. When it first came to me, it was whether or not it had been a gravel pit, and it had. When I was in junior high, and, or not junior high, my first year of high school here, I worked for a nursery where we went and got gravel out of there. The county got gravel out of there. It was all something that had been going on for years. The question would be is how big maybe was it? But it's not a method where the county commission gets to make that decision. That's not how it works. What they do is they go and they look at it and they'd establish how big it was, if it was there, and whether it's grandfathered, because that's what the actual question is. There's always a bunch of different arguments and questions on how it should be looked at, but the first thing you have to do is follow by the law, not just your interpretation of what it should be. Could we do that would there be a SEPA or some other stuff if it was brand new? Absolutely. Should there maybe be, I know when it was being asked that be done, that was in the middle of a lawsuit, so I don't think that the commission could have even entertained it in the middle of a lawsuit. What, should it be entertained now? If it's new, yes. If it's grandfathered, I don't know that the state even gives us that option, but we can look at it.
There you go.
Hello, I
I am Catherine, the Executive Director of the Humane Society of Mason County. So, as you guys can imagine what my question is going to be, is what are you going to do to address the lack of funding that there are for animal control and animal support services in Mason County?
Great question.
Yeah, no surprise on the question. So, no, it's a serious and real question. We did have animal control in the county. It was in the sheriff's department. From a funding perspective, I believe it was closed. What would I do? I would look at it. We need to look. So in discussions already, it's 2 to 3 full-time equivalents. You know, that's going to roughly run $500,000 a year. I'm sure someone can give slightly better numbers. The facility itself, as we were talking this morning, you were looking at a $2.5 million facility for the Humane Society. So we're looking at, you know, call it $2 to $3 million going in, and you know, $400,000 to $500,000 a year on top of it. Given the very tight budget, is it on the list? Yes, in my book. Where is it on the priority? It's going to have to be a function of other things. We advocate for it and we look for, you know, primarily state funding. I'll reach out to Travis and talk to him and see what options are. Anyone else?
So animal control. The sheriff used to have 2 animal control officers. The county paid for it and it went through the sheriff's budget. As the sheriff changed priorities, the sheriff did away with the first one. And then later on, the sheriff did away with the second one. Not the sheriff we have now, this was the past sheriff. But they still kept the money. That's how it works. That's the reality of things. In order to do this, we've been looking at it, and I've been working on it on behalf of the county, and the commissioners just okayed me to go and talk on their behalf a little bit, but to bring it back for any final decision, I'm working with the city of Shelton. They actually have a facility. And if we can go ahead and lease a facility from them and help do the city's work and ours, we're looking at a cost of about $300,000 directly out of our budget in order to pull that off. That's new expenditures. That's not taken from something else. It has to be a new expenditure. And to do that, though, we're going to need to partner with people like this wonderful lady that you just saw here that just saved this county from huge amounts of animals that were terrorized up the road here. And we got to say thank you and give her an extra hand because she appreciates it.
There's animals in the north end. Somebody say something.
Go, Brad.
Come on, we support Hood Sport too.
Well, instead of animal control, we talk about criminal control. So, what's that?
It is on.
Let's hold it close.
Okay, criminal control. So we might as well just digress into it. I know that's really a sheriff function, but I have a number of questions for you guys today. But this morning, a person called me, a friend of mine that lives in North Mason. She says, we got a problem. She says, we got some guy cooking meth, putting all his material into the Tulia River, and having it migrate into the Hood Canal. Open septic systems, just a big mess. And I said, well, why don't you call the sheriff's office and have the problem taken care of? Well, they said that they can't get the sheriff's office to come out there and deal with this problem. And they're afraid if they report this person will retaliate against them. And so they're in a real tough situation. So my question is, and I'm sure this is repeated across the county, I know it's across other counties, but, and by the way, I forgot to tell you one thing. You guys seem all qualified, all of you. I've been really impressed with, your answers to people's questions tonight. So kudos to all of you for throwing your name in the hat to run for office. So my question is, because we also have this problem, we're a little younger, we can deal with the problems ourselves most of the time, but we don't like the stress of dealing with these real badasses that we pop into. So how are you guys going to deal with that? If we call the sheriff's office, I mean, that's a sheriff function, but how are we going to get support from the commission to get the sheriff and his men and women to do the job we need them to do? And these are the real bad people, not the ones that are, not crazy, but the real bad ones. And so you kind of answered this question already tonight, but I'd like to hear it one more time, please. Thank you.
Well, I personally find it hard to believe that the sheriff wouldn't respond to such an incident. But I think, the answer to the question really is accountability. I think at all levels through the county as a commissioner, I mean, county staff is all employees of the county. And I think we need to maintain accountability at every level through our local government. But I'd be interested to find out if there is a reason that this particular incident wasn't responded to.
Like Tom said, we're your employees. If you elect us, we work for you. So we'll have to, we're elected officials when we're elected. So is the sheriff. So the sheriff doesn't directly report to the county commissioners, but we do have some control over the sheriffs and all departments because we do hold control over the budget. So they have to walk softly when dealing with commissioners, so we can influence them in some way. So as citizens, if you come to us and we hear your complaint and our sheriff's not reacting the way you think is appropriate, then we'll address it with the sheriff and see where it goes from there.
Goes back to those town halls that I was talking about, and getting out and meeting the citizens and finding out what you want. There's no reason that I could think of why they wouldn't respond to that event. So, like he said, I mean, we represent the citizens, and when we hear from you something like that's going on, we've got to find a way to address it and get rid of that problem.
I agree with my friend Pat Tarswell. I'm a little surprised. So Brad, if we can talk afterwards, give me a couple specifics. Let me make a phone call, see if we can understand more of what's going on, who they called, when they called, and whatnot. What you're describing, no, we need a response. So unless there is unless there's action that's coming out of Olympia that prevents our sheriff from responding, I would expect a response.
And sometimes it's even county employees, like the health department, they're afraid sometimes to report these things. In other words, there's mechanisms at department heads that can trigger action, but it's not happening, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so I'll try and take 20 seconds here, hopefully I have it. So I think what we need, my approach would be to talk with people, understand that the commissioners do have some, purse strings, but frankly, I'd prefer to work with it through relationships, okay? And I think those relationships are being developed today. I'm confident that, with a brief discussion, we can start to understand this. If it involves help, if it involves sheriff, fine, we get 3 people in a room. If it involves someone else, we get 4. We start to figure out what we're going to go do so we protect our citizens, period.
Okay, so the budget thing, when it comes to the sheriff, I gotta tell you, I wish it was literally that simple. We had a sheriff before, not the one we have now, that busted the budget by over $3 million in 2 years. Tried to just even hold him accountable. You remember all the battles in the paper, all the attacks on me? Because I'm the one who would hold him accountable. It was horrible, it changed my life, it made it tough on my family, and my wife was afraid. I got 7 flat tires leaving the county commissioner office during budget time. It was a nightmare. But I never quit, I never gave up. Now, one of the things I can tell you with the new sheriff, when you talk to him, the first thing he's gonna tell you is they have so many different calls that they have to take a priority. Life has to take number 1. And then you start going down the line. I'm hoping that we're always gonna find a way to get there. We have to work with him to do it because there is no other option but to work with him. But as for our health department, you have a whole other issue, and that is the fact that at the health department, they go out there and that's actually a squatter or somebody else that's renting the place. The only thing they can do is find the property owner, and that's what's scary. That's one of the reasons why that thing I was talking about giving them another option to perhaps leave. The sheriff is the one who helped me write that too. Because he's trying to find a way to get rid of these problems too, so that he can prioritize what he has and take care of some of the big ones. But we do have to still work on it. There's no way we can just roll over and say, we can't get there. But I wish we all had the great answer, but we're just gonna have to fight it together. And in the past, I've literally gone out and fought it myself, and my neighbors and stuff will attest to that. Oh.
Well, I'd sat in your vote.
Yeah.
And my question is, you're paid 24/7. How are you going to use your time? as a commissioner. That's it.
I'll hit that one first. When I first started, Tim Sheldon made a comment. He made a comment that your job is not here in this office, it's out there. I just wish he'd come back in the office once in a while. But at the time, that comment really hit home, and I've always tried to stay out here ever since. That's the way that you do it. That's how you represent the people. On the table over here, you're gonna see pictures of different things. These pictures that I have is everything from me from high school, helping to get this thing established. I was one of the original people to help this hub get established. Literally, when you have the Black Lives Matter, I'm in the middle of them here in the middle of this town. You look on these pictures, you're gonna see how it ends in Belfair, is we ended up hugging. I got them all to walk together, we ended up hugging. Literally, we're different here. In Shelton, it was so bad, separating them and trying to be a representative and trying to spend my time out there, that I was in between them and Shelton. And if you go and look at that picture, you're gonna see a picture of a man. This is Belfair, this is how we entered it. This is Shelton, where I almost got killed because I had to get between this guy and somebody else. Those are people down there. Those are people on the bottom, that's how big this guy is. But luckily for me, he thought I did the prayer, so he thought I was a preacher and he was afraid he was gonna hit God and he let me go. So it was interesting how it went, but that's how you spend your time as a representative, out there with them, always out there with them, always available.
My lovely wife of 40 years can answer how I operate, and I'll just keep it real simple. So Friday afternoon, we'd be sitting around, a group of airmen, NCOs. I would go, oh, today's Friday, you know what that means? And they go, yeah, it's Friday. I said, that's right, 2 more working days till Monday. Okay? And that's just a reality. You know, so many jobs, the phone rang and you responded. It was a water break, it was a sewer break, power's out, a windstorm, people problem. You know, a wife is getting abused, someone's drunk and in jail, someone's doing strange things somewhere, and trust me, they come in all sorts. So the job is being out there with people, being there where it's uncomfortable at times, but learning and understanding the systems and how they work. And once you know how those infrastructure systems work, once you know how the people work in the organizations, then you can do something and help and guide it. Thank you. Red card.
I've spent the last 17 years in business in Mason County, doing everything that I can to make Mason County a better and brighter place for as many people as I can. And as a commissioner, I would do the same exact thing. And just always maintain an open door policy and have an open ear and just listen to the problems of the people of the county. In the end, that's what we're all here for. I care wholeheartedly for Mason County and for every single person here, regardless of your political affiliation or anything.
Well, in real estate, you don't work 9 to 5. You work 7 days a week. Work 24 hours a day. And that's what I plan on doing here for the county. This is a hard job. I plan to take it head on and work each and every day. I'm currently a real estate broker at our firm. My wife is working to get her real estate designated broker's license so she can take that over. And I will be in the office each and every day to deal with the challenges head on. I'll be out there having town halls, meeting with the citizens and getting feedback. Because this isn't about me, it's about you. I came to Mason County with not a lot in my pocket. This county has been wonderful to me. I have a very successful, or we have a very successful real estate firm. My last kid's going off to college. It's time for me to give back. And I want to meet with you. I want to learn what you want. And I want to make Mason County great again.
So I can pretty much echo what everybody's saying. Our job is to be out there with the people and hearing what you have to say and addressing your concerns. But for 33 years, running a small business, going through all kinds of issues that happen in a small business, being an innovator where customers depend on me to come up with a solution. It's not a 9-to-5 job. I work 80 to 100 hours a week frequently, so I can take that same kind of energy and apply it to the county commissioner's position. So thank you all for being here tonight.
So you guys can hang around and talk to the candidates afterwards. I just have a few wrap-up things to say. One, I want to thank them all for coming here. I know running for office is not easy, and I know that their time is spread out everywhere because everybody wants to talk to them, but I think they deserve a big round of applause.